You know what? Let's do an experiment.
What is happening? Come on. I'm gonna shut down my computer, I guess.
Hi. Question. What if Doomguy's final battle wasn't against the Dark Lord, but was in fact against a rich and powerful emperor guy named Andreus Faldis? Yeah, that's really specific, huh? Well, now there's an answer, because I, Geoffrey Day, have finished the 4th and last installment of my Doom Eternal-inspired soundtrack for a game that does not, and probably will not ever exist. This video is actually a very special one because my project Fight Between Realms has been more than a year in the making, and I actually added a little playlist down below in the video description if you want to watch all the other videos associated with this project. Now, the name of this series, Fight Between Realms, is reflective of the obvious plot points surrounding our lead protagonist, Regius. Yes, named after the guitar, who finds himself fighting in, across, or between realms. 4, in fact. And I did all of this world building mostly as an excuse to experiment with Argent Metal and try a bunch of different things, but that's not really important. Actually, you know what? Let's do a little realm recap right now. So there's Providence, the cyberpunk realm. Maker's Hand, the Wasteland Bandit realm. And Levitica Void, the remnants of a realm called Levitica, but now it's like a dangerous zone of chaotic space-time paradoxes. Now finally we're at the last realm, Orus. This is the realm of imperialistic humans who have genetically engineered themselves to be godlike, and who claim to have dominion over the other realms. Regius, again named after the guitar, is a royal enforcer called a messenger, and he's from this realm. Now, as you probably expect, there is some character development that leads our Doomslayer, lead protagonist, back to his own realm to do battle. But look, here's the important question. What would it sound like if 2 sci-fi Olympian godmen battled in a Doom Eternal style? I can probably hear you saying, bro, you covered God of War twice already, give it a rest. And to that I say, this is no cover, my dudes. The boss battle with Crown Faldis is like the Doom Eternal's Dark Lord fight, but he's actually Godfrey from Elden Ring, but also actually everyone is dressed up like the Atlanteans from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. You with me so far? Big dude, big Warhammer, definitely would be a white-colored creature in Magic the Gathering. So just based on that description alone, I think it's pretty clear that what I had in mind from the beginning was to get a bunch of trombones and violas crammed into Argent Metal. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. And it's actually tricky to get right, though. You'll see in a second. You know, orchestral music and heavy metal have existed together for a long time. And also, you occasionally see orchestral music popping up in the EDM scene, but usually for very different reasons. So already you can see that orchestral instruments can be used to create a lot of different styles, depending on the role that they play. If you want to make scary monk death metal, hire an orchestra. If you want to make fantasy dwarf kingdom anthems, hire an orchestra. And I'm sure you can hire an orchestra to make whatever this is. Now this has gotten me really curious, so I actually did go and Google Doom Eternal orchestral covers, and a lot of different approaches. Some people program their instruments. And there were some hybrid approaches using like synths and drums as well. Links in the description for all of these, by the way. And there's one person I found, though, that I thought got way closer to the idea that I have than anybody else, and this is a creator named Victor Zinn. He did a whole orchestral metal suite for the Doom Eternal DLC, and it rocks. It's awesome. He's done a bunch of other good stuff too. You should definitely check out his channel. But the thing that stands out to me here that becomes clear when listening is that there are certain qualities of Argent Metal that seem to sort of get lost if you move too far in the orchestral direction. For example, a big difference between Argent Metal and an orchestral suite is the level of dynamics in the music. The former is very close to electronic music, which is to say it's unbelievably compressed. A side effect of this compression approach in metal is a kind of modern wall of sound effect, where the highs, lows, and mids of the music don't actually change that much in volume over time, even though it sounds like things are happening. And it's not like orchestral instruments don't have those high and low frequencies in their sound, but they're just not as present. You know what? Let's do an experiment. Here I have an electric guitar, and next to it I have some low orchestral strings playing the same notes. As you can see, I have them roughly at the same volume. They sound quite different from each other, besides the distortion, obviously, but let's talk about why. So I'm gonna isolate just the high frequencies of the guitar. As you can hear, it's mostly noise, and it's kind of just always that way no matter what's being played, and the noise is quite loud. Now let's go to the string parts and isolate the high frequencies there. I mean, you can hear it with your ears, but it's even more obvious when we look at the meters here. The high frequency information of the strings just isn't even close to as loud as the guitars, even though a moment ago they were in fact playing at the same volume. You're mostly hearing the scratch of the bow on the strings, so those high frequencies actually jump up and down in volume. That's called dynamic range, and the guitar doesn't really have that. So if you've ever wondered why producers like the infamous OTT plugin so much, this is part of the reason why. Prepare your ear holes because I'm gonna use it on the strings and then compare the relative loudness and high frequency information against the guitars. I'm gonna warn you, it's gonna sound weird. Look at that, much more similar. I can do better though. Let's add some distortions, which will be our fake guitar amp, and then let's add an EQ, that will be our fake guitar cabinet, and that's tasty. You can still tell that you're hearing cello and bass parts, but now the texture is right up in your face like the guitars were. Now, I'll just say it up front, I'm not actually gonna use the OTT plugin on everything because that's become some kind of running joke at this point, but I am gonna use a similar principle to put some of this kind of thing into this kind of thing, without sacrificing that completely slammed sound that we're going for. Okay, let's give it a try. Okay, let's begin. Like usual, I've started with a MIDI instrument sketch track. It's not meant to be good, but I know what I'm intending, and the important part is that if it doesn't sound like an arrangement worthy of Doom Eternal, then it's not ready for the next step. Messing around with the MIDI took a while, but I've started on the orchestra finally, and it's safe to say that I am an Orchestral Tools boy through and through. This video is not sponsored by them or anything, by the way, but I do really like digging through their libraries to find the stuff that supports this thrilling trailer vibe that I'm going for. Mostly looking at the trombones. I just want hundreds of trombones. Is that too much to ask? Okay, so an interesting challenge I'm having right now involves the drums. Shown here is Toontrack's Area 33. I'm using it mostly because I just wanted to try it out, but in order to make it sound more like it belongs in the same space as my orchestra, I swapped out my snare and my tom reverbs for Simplicity Berlin Studio. The wonderful thing about this reverb is that it models a multi-mic recording setup for orchestra in the Teldex scoring stage in Berlin. And why does that matter? Well, all of my string, horn, choir, and percussion libraries from Orchestral Tools were recorded in the Teldex space as well.
This sound, which is consistent across all Berlin series collections, is also due in part to the cinematic recording setup we've established at the Teldex scoring stage in Berlin.
Speaking of orchestral libraries, my PC has a modest 32 gigabytes of RAM. On default settings, the gigantic drum sample library mixed with multiple gargantuan orchestral sample libraries caused, take a look.
What is happening? Come on! I'm gonna shut down my computer, I guess.
Okay, I just committed everything to recorded audio instead of playable samples, and it hurt, but it's done. Just like every Argent Metal song, there's a tension and a release element in the form of risers and swooshes and stuff. Normally, I use synths for noise and effects, but I'm gonna try to stick with as much orchestral stuff as possible this time. After a couple of rounds of heated auditions, I found two good libraries for this: Threnody Strings by Sonic Couture and Thrill by Native Instruments. The first one, Threnody, is great for dissonant ambience and sustained type things. And Thrill is going to be my main, swoosh generator thing. Okay, at this point, I like where the design of the song is headed. There's a lot of orchestral elements, but something is kind of missing. It doesn't quite feel Argent, and I'm not super sure, but I'm guessing it's because it feels too real life. And if that's the case, that's easy. We just need more synths. What I'm thinking here is that hearing some obvious synth stuff makes this song a little more in line with the rest of the Fight Between Realms collection of songs. Okay, actually, I don't get to use these very often, but I have these Glitch Machines plugins that I think would be perfect here. I'm trying not to overuse them because I don't really want the glitchy sound, but a little bit of digital manipulation and layering can add a lot of movement to a synth part. Nice, 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 nice. This song is sounding awesome, but I still feel like something's missing. Maybe if I... Oh yeah, that was it. And just like that, I'm done with another song. So, without further ado, Crown of Orus from Fight Between Realms. Enjoy. So, did this theme make you want to 1v1 all the Kings of Gondor back to back? Let me know in the comments below. I've said it before and I'm gonna say it again, but say some nice things to Kina because she absolutely crushed it with the artwork for Fight Between Realms. It's beyond legendary. I'm so happy with it, seriously. The links to the rest of her stuff are in the video description below. If you want to support my work and these videos, as well as get access to the deep dives and stems for this song, plus much, much, much more, please consider becoming a patron. The credits rolling on the screen are folks already taking advantage of the benefits, and to all of my patrons, I gotta say, thank you so much for your support. It's been a huge help over the last couple of years. You can get this song on Bandcamp for free or any price you think is best, and you can also listen on streaming platforms by checking out the links in the pinned comment below. I'm also working through the details of a fancy album release with a couple of additional songs, so keep an eye out for any updates there, but until then, I've been Geoffrey Day. You've conducted yourself quite well, and I hope you're back again for the next video. See ya.